Have you ever found yourself going around in your head, wondering how you ended up accessing something you didn't initially want? Have you ever wondered why certain conversations leave you feeling like you're in a haze, questioning your own thoughts? Could it be that you are being subtly manipulated without even realizing it? In this interconnected world, we are constantly interacting with different people, each with their own intentions and methods. Often these interactions are innocuous, even enriching. But what happens when others' intentions become dark, and their methods manipulative? Today, we are diving into the complex and often hidden world of manipulation. This video is not just a simple talk, it is a revelation, a journey towards understanding the 10 most subtle and powerful forms of manipulation and, most importantly, how you can defend yourself against them. Why is this knowledge crucial? Because we live in an era where manipulation comes not only from the people around us, but also from larger and more omnipresent structures like the media and social networks. Knowing these techniques is not only an act of self-protection, it is a step towards greater autonomy and personal freedom. Today I will guide you through this maze, showing you how to recognize and neutralize these tactics. From gaslighting, which makes you question your own reality, to emotional manipulation, which plays with your deepest feelings. Let's unravel these strategies together, providing you with the tools to maintain your power and make decisions that truly reflect your wants and needs. Join me on this journey of discovery and empowerment. Prepare to open your eyes to a world that, although often invisible, has a profound impact on your daily life. If this is your first time on the channel, I encourage you to subscribe, click on the bell and like the video. Your support is essential to continue growing and creating quality content like this. Tactic number 1: Emotional manipulation. Emotional manipulation is like an invisible chess game in which the pieces are your emotions and the board is your mind. Imagine walking through an enchanted forest, where each tree represents a different emotion. Joy, fear, guilt. Each of these trees can be shaken by someone to make you lose your balance. First, it is crucial to understand that emotional manipulation is not always evident. Often, it is clothed in concern, affection, or even a silence loaded with meaning. The manipulator is like a magician skilled in the art of diverting your attention so that you don't see what he is really doing. This process begins with small actions or words that seem harmless, but little by little they wrap you in a spider web of doubts and fears. A common tactic is the use of blame. Imagine that a friend asks you for a favor, one that you find uncomfortable or unwise. As you refuse, he responds with a disappointed sigh and a look that says more than his words can express. "I thought we were friends," he says, and suddenly, you find yourself questioning your decision, feeling selfish for putting your needs first. Another subtle form of emotional manipulation is fear. Someone might imply, without saying it directly, that something bad could happen if you don't follow their advice or do what they ask. It's like being in a dark room where the only light comes from the person manipulating you, making you dependent on their guidance and direction. So how can you defend yourself against these tactics? The first step is self-awareness. Spend time getting to know your emotions, understanding what makes you feel happy, sad, angry, or scared. Like a gardener who knows every plant in his garden, you must know every emotion that blooms inside you. This will give you the basis to recognize when someone is trying to play with them. The second step is to establish clear boundaries. This doesn't mean building an impenetrable wall around you, but rather having doors that you can open or close at will. Learn to say no without feeling guilty, and accept that you can't always please everyone. The third step is to seek balance in your relationships. A healthy relationship is like a dance in which both participants move to the same rhythm and with the same respect for each other. If you feel that you are always dancing to the rhythm that another person imposes, it is time to rethink that relationship. Lastly, never underestimate the power of honest communication. Confronting someone who manipulates you emotionally isn't easy, but sometimes a simple, "I feel like this," or "I'm not comfortable with that," can be enough to change the dynamic. Emotional manipulation is a dark art, but with awareness, clear boundaries, balance, and communication, you can become a master in the art of protecting your emotions. And remember, in the chess game of life, you are the king or queen of your own destiny. Tactic number 2, alert to the logical fallacy. Be on the lookout for arguments that seem logical but are based on fallacies, such as personal attacks or generalizations. In the world of argument, logical fallacies are like mirages in a desert. They seem to offer refuge and truth, but as they get closer, they vanish, leaving only confusion and deception. A logical fallacy occurs when the argument presented lacks a solid basis, even though on the surface it appears reasonable or convincing. Identifying these fallacies is crucial to navigating the maze of daily communication and protecting yourself against subtle manipulation. A common type of fallacy is the personal attack, known in Latin as ad hominem. This occurs when, instead of addressing a person's argument, you attack their character or personal attributes. Imagine you are debating politics and, instead of responding to your points, your opponent begins to criticize your upbringing or your past. It's as if, instead of playing fair, someone decided to throw sand in your eyes to blind you and divert you from the real topic. Another common fallacy is hasty generalization. Here, a small sample or personal experience is taken and extended to an entire group. It's as if after watching a bird fly south, you conclude that all the birds in the world fly south. This fallacy feeds on stereotypes and prejudices, and is fertile ground for discrimination and misunderstanding. There is also the slippery slope fallacy, which argues that a small first step will inevitably lead to a chain of negative events. It's like saying that if you let your child stay up late one night, they will inevitably become a chronic insomniac. This fallacy plays on the fear of future consequences, often exaggerating the possible effects. To protect yourself from these fallacies, the first step is to educate yourself about them. Knowing its forms and how they manifest themselves in conversation is like having a map in this desert of mirages. When you listen to an argument, ask yourself, is it really addressing the central point? Is it based on solid evidence or assumptions? Furthermore, developing critical thinking is essential. Don't accept everything you hear at face value. Question, analyze and look for the evidence behind the arguments. Like a detective searching for the truth, don't be fooled by appearances. Finally, learn to recognize and avoid using these fallacies in your own arguments. Keep your discussions focused on facts and logic, and you'll be contributing to a more honest and productive dialogue. In short, being alert to logical fallacies is like having a compass in a sea of confusing and often misleading arguments. It keeps you on the path of reason and truth, protecting you from being manipulated by arguments that, although they shine like gold, are in reality as solid as air. Tactic number 3, gaslighting detection. Recognize when someone is trying to make you doubt your memory or perception. Gaslighting, or psychological manipulation, is a subtle and often insidious form of emotional manipulation. It resembles a mind game in which the manipulator attempts to sow doubts in their victim's mind about their memory, perception, or sanity. It's like someone slowly rearranges the furniture in your house and then denies that anything has changed, causing you to question your own reality. This tactic can take several forms. One of the most common is denial. The manipulator simply refuses to acknowledge the truth or invalidates your experiences. It's like if you confessed to having seen a shooting star and someone insisted that you only imagined seeing it, even though you were completely sure of what you saw. Another form of gaslighting is misrepresentation of facts. The manipulator can distort reality to make you doubt your memories. For example, if you clearly remember a conversation in which something was agreed upon, the manipulator may insist that it never happened or that something completely different was said. It's like being in a maze of mirrors where each reflection distorts reality a little more. Gaslighting can also manifest itself through trivialization, where your feelings and thoughts are minimized or ridiculed. It's like being told that you are raising a storm in a teacup over something that is genuinely worrying or painful to you. To detect and counter gaslighting, it is important to trust your intuition and your memories. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. Keep a record of events, conversations, and your feelings. This can be a journal or notes on your phone. Having a factual record can help you validate your experience and remember exact details. Also, seek support from trusted friends or family. Often, talking to someone outside the situation can give you a clearer perspective and validate your experiences. Self-care and self-affirmation are also vital. Strengthen your self-esteem and remember that you have the right to your own thoughts, feelings, and memories. Practicing meditation or talking to a therapist can be a great help in maintaining your emotional well-being. Gaslighting is a form of emotional manipulation that can make you doubt your reality. Being informed about how it manifests and developing strategies to trust your own perception are crucial steps in protecting yourself from this harmful tactic. Remember, your reality is valid, and you deserve to be heard and respected. Tactic number 4: Awareness of peer pressure. Identify when peer or group pressure is used to influence your decisions or beliefs. Peer pressure is a powerful force and can manifest itself in subtle or overt ways, significantly impacting our decisions and beliefs. Often, it's as if we're sailing on a rough sea, where the waves of popular opinion threaten to carry us in a direction we don't necessarily want to follow. This form of social manipulation is based on our innate desire to belong and be accepted by a group. It can be as simple as dressing a certain way to fit in, or as complex as changing your beliefs or behaviors to align with the group. It is as if, to avoid being the black sheep, we end up following the flock, even if it leads us down a path that is not ours. To maintain awareness and resist peer pressure, it is crucial to develop strong self-esteem and self-confidence. Knowing who you are and what you value is like having an anchor in that rough sea. It keeps you steady, even when the waves try to drag you away. Another strategy is to learn to recognize when you are being influenced. Sometimes peer pressure is obvious, like when someone explicitly encourages you to do something. Other times, it's more subtle, like when everyone in your social group adopts a certain opinion or lifestyle, and you feel an implicit need to do the same. It's like being in a room where everyone speaks in one tone and you feel the need to adjust your voice to match them. It is also important to develop skills to say no. Setting and maintaining boundaries is crucial. You don't have to be unpleasant or confrontational, but being firm and clear in your decisions will help you stay true to yourself. Imagine that you are a tree with deep roots. Even if the wind blows hard, your roots keep you in your place. Also find a support group that respects your individuality. Surrounding yourself with people who value diversity of thought and who support you in your personal decisions is like finding a safe harbor where you can be yourself without fear of being judged or pressured. Finally, make decisions based on your own values and principles, not what is popular or accepted by others. Sometimes this may mean taking the road less traveled, but it is essential to living an authentic and fulfilling life. Being aware of peer pressure and learning to manage it is essential to maintaining your personal integrity and making decisions that are in line with your true values and beliefs. Remember, it's okay to be different and make your own decisions, even if that means not always following the crowd. Tactic number 5: Identification of excessive flattery. Be aware of when flattery is used to gain your trust and then manipulate you. Excessive flattery, that shower of praise that seems harmless, can be a very clever manipulation tool. It's like a sweet and attractive bait, hiding a hook underneath. When someone showers you with constant praise, it can be easy to get carried away by the flow of good vibes, without realizing that they are preparing you for deeper manipulation. This type of manipulation plays with our ego and our need to be appreciated and valued. It is as if we are offered a magic mirror that reflects the best version of ourselves, so seductive that we forget to look behind the surface. But it's crucial to remember that when praise is excessive or doesn't align with reality, there are probably ulterior motives behind it. To protect yourself from falling into the trap of excessive flattery, the first step is to develop healthy self-esteem and realistic self-evaluation. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses gives you a solid basis for evaluating the praise you receive. It's like having an internal navigation system that tells you when you're in genuine territory and when you've entered the realm of hype. It's also helpful to look at the context and frequency of praise. If the praise comes from someone looking for something from you, or if it occurs with unusual frequency, there are likely ulterior motives. It's like when someone offers you a candy every time they need a favor. Eventually, you start to wonder if they really like you or just want something from you. Maintain a healthy emotional distance when you feel the adulation is excessive. Thanking people politely but not getting carried away with the praise is a way to maintain control of the situation. Think of it like carrying an umbrella on a sunny day. It may seem unnecessary, but it protects you in case it starts to rain. Seek opinions from people you trust. Sometimes an outside perspective can help you see if praise is genuine or a manipulative tactic. It's like having a second pair of eyes that helps you see what you may not be able to see on your own. Finally, learn to differentiate between sincere praise and manipulation. Genuine praise tends to be specific and relevant to the situation, while excessive flattery tends to be vague, generic, and disproportionate. Excessive flattery can be a subtle but powerful form of manipulation. By maintaining healthy self-esteem, critically evaluating praise, and maintaining emotional distance, you can protect yourself from being manipulated and keep your relationships based on sincerity and mutual respect. Tactic number 6: Recognition of isolation tactics. Pay attention to situations where someone tries to isolate you from your friends, family, or colleagues. Isolation is a particularly insidious and effective manipulation tactic. By separating you from your support networks such as friends, family, and colleagues, the manipulator makes you more vulnerable and dependent, making it easier for them to control you. Imagine it like being on a desert island. With no one around, you are completely dependent on the person who left you there. The key to recognizing this tactic is to notice subtle or not so subtle changes in your relationships. The manipulator may begin to question your friendships or relationships, sowing doubts about their intentions or loyalty. It's like they put a magnifying glass over every little crack in your relationships, magnifying it until it becomes an abyss. They may also use more direct tactics, such as demanding that you spend more time alone with them or criticizing and devaluing the people around you. It's like they're building a wall around you, brick by brick, blocking your view and access to the outside world. To resist these tactics, it is vital to keep your relationships and support networks active, even when someone tries to convince you otherwise. Maintaining regular communication with friends and family is like having lifelines that keep you connected to reality and give you different perspectives. Another strategy is to set and maintain clear boundaries. If someone tries to control who you associate with or how you spend your time, it's crucial to be firm and clearly communicate your boundaries. Think of it like building your own fort, where you decide who gets in and who doesn't. It is also important to trust your instincts. If you feel like something isn't right about how someone is influencing your relationships, there's probably some truth to that feeling. Our instinct is like an internal alarm system, designed to alert us when something threatens our well-being. Lastly, seek outside support if you feel like you are being isolated. Talking to a counselor, therapist, or even a trusted friend can provide valuable perspective and help you reaffirm your reality. Recognizing isolation tactics is crucial to maintaining your autonomy and emotional well-being. By keeping your communication channels open and trusting your instincts, you can protect yourself from being isolated and manipulated, ensuring that your relationships are healthy, equitable, and based on mutual respect. Tactic number 7. Alert to ultimatums. Identify when ultimatums are used to force you to make a decision under pressure. Ultimatums in manipulation are like standing on the edge of a cliff. You feel cornered, with a seemingly simple but terrifying choice. A manipulator uses ultimatums to create a sense of urgency and force you to make decisions under pressure, limiting your options to what they want. Recognizing this tactic involves being aware of when decisions are presented in an extreme way. If you really loved me, you would do this, or, if you don't do this, then we will end our friendship. These statements are like red traffic signs, indicating that someone is trying to control your behavior through the use of fear and coercion. A key characteristic of ultimatums is that they are often presented in ways that seem reasonable at first glance, but upon closer inspection, reveal a lack of respect for your needs and boundaries. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. It may seem harmless at first, but its true nature is much more sinister. To handle ultimatums, it's important to take a moment to breathe and reflect. The pressure of the moment may make you feel like you have to make a decision right away, but remember that you almost always have more time than you think. Think of this like pressing the pause button on a video game. It gives you a moment to gather your thoughts and consider your options. Also, evaluate the consequences of each option. Ultimatums are often designed to make one option seem much worse than the other, but by examining the long-term consequences, you can find a path that better aligns with your values and needs. It's like looking at a map before choosing a route. It helps you see all the possible directions and their results. Another strategy is to communicate your feelings and boundaries clearly. By expressing how the ultimatum affects you and establishing what you are willing and unwilling to do, you can assert your autonomy. Think of it as planting your feet firmly on the ground. It shows that you are not easily carried away by the wind. Finally, if you constantly find yourself facing ultimatums in a relationship, it may be time to reevaluate that relationship. A healthy and respectful environment should not be filled with threats or pressure to act in a certain way. Being alert to ultimatums and learning to handle them effectively is crucial to maintaining your freedom of choice and ensuring that your decisions are based on what is best for you, not what someone else is trying to impose on you. Stay calm, consider your options and communicate your limits. These are the key steps to navigating the difficult seas of ultimatums. Tactic number 8, detection of guilt. Recognize when someone is trying to make you feel guilty to control your actions or thoughts. Blaming is a subtle but powerful manipulative tool. It's like a poison that slowly infiltrates your mind, making you doubt yourself and your decisions. The key to detecting blame is to recognize when someone is trying to transfer responsibility for their actions or emotions to you, making you feel like the perpetual culprit. This tactic can come in many forms. For example, someone might say, "You make me feel bad when you don't do what I ask," or, "If you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have reacted that way." It's like you're given a distorted mirror that reflects your every move as mistakes or failures. To counteract blame, it is essential to affirm your own reality. Remember that your feelings and perceptions are valid. Don't let someone else rewrite your story or make you feel responsible for things that are out of your control. Think of this like holding a shield. It protects you from the poisoned arrows of guilt. A useful strategy is to practice self-reflection. Before accepting blame, ask yourself, am I really responsible for this situation? Am I being fairly accused? It's like looking at a map before setting out on a trip. You make sure you're on the right path. Communication also plays a crucial role. Express how you feel when someone unfairly blames you and set clear boundaries. For example, you could say, "I understand that you are upset, but I do not accept responsibility for your actions." It's similar to putting a "no trespassing" sign in your emotional garden. Additionally, it is important to surround yourself with people who support and respect you. A healthy, positive environment is like fertile soil that allows your best qualities to flourish, rather than rocky terrain where nothing can grow. In short, detecting blame is essential to maintaining your emotional and mental well-being. By recognizing and confronting this tactic, you can protect yourself from being manipulated and ensure that your actions and thoughts remain your own, free from the shadow of unfair blame. Keep your mind clear, your boundaries firm, and your environment healthy to safely navigate the maze of blame. Tactic number 9. Awareness of information overload. Beware of situations where you are overwhelmed with information, often complex or confusing, to hinder your ability to make clear decisions. Information overload is like a storm in your mind. Imagine that you are in the center of a hurricane of data, facts, and figures flying around you in all directions. This can leave you feeling confused, overwhelmed, and ultimately unable to make informed, rational decisions. This manipulation tactic relies on flooding you with so much detail that you can't see the forest for the trees. Manipulators use this strategy to disorient you, making you more susceptible to their influences or demands. It's like they give you a puzzle with too many pieces, hoping you'll give up and let them take control. How can you protect yourself from this information storm? The first step is to recognize when you are being inundated with too much data. If you find yourself in a situation where the amount of information is overwhelming, take a moment to breathe. It's like pausing in the middle of a frenetic movie to understand the plot. Then, try to simplify the information. Break data into smaller, more manageable chunks. This is similar to taking apart a complicated engine piece by piece, making it easier to understand and operate. Another effective technique is to ask. Clarifying doubts can dissipate the fog of confusion. Don't be afraid to say, "I don't understand, can you explain it another way?" It's like asking someone to turn on a flashlight in a dark room. Additionally, seek outside opinions or advice. Consulting with an impartial third party can give you a fresh, objective perspective. It's like looking at a map from above, offering a clear view of the landscape. Finally, trust your instinct. If something feels overwhelming or confusing, it could be a sign that you are being manipulated. It's like an internal radar that alerts you to potential dangers. Being aware of information overload is key to maintaining your autonomy and decision-making capacity. By recognizing, simplifying, asking questions, and seeking advice, you can stay calm in the eye of the information storm and make decisions that are truly yours. Remember, in a world where information is power, protecting your mind is protecting your most valuable strength. Tactic number 10, identification of the change of topic. Notice when someone keeps changing the subject to avoid responsibility or to confuse you. Changing the subject is like a magic trick in a conversation. One moment you are talking about an important issue and suddenly the topic changes to something completely different, leaving you bewildered and disoriented. This tactic is used to divert attention from sensitive or compromising topics and is a subtle but powerful form of manipulation. Think of it as being on a clear path and suddenly finding yourself in a maze of dead-end conversations. Manipulators are experts at this game of distraction. When they feel cornered or questioned, they quickly change the topic to evade responsibility or scrutiny. It is like a dancer performing an elegant step to avoid stepping on dangerous ground. How can you stay grounded amidst these conversational twists and turns? The first step is to recognize when it is happening. If you notice that the topic suddenly changes without a logical transition, it may be a red flag. It's like realizing that the landscape has suddenly changed on a trip. Once you identify a change of topic, try to direct the conversation back to the original topic. You can say something like, "That's interesting, but I'd like to get back to what we were discussing earlier." It is like a captain redirecting his ship back to its original course after a deviation. Stay calm and firm. Don't get carried away by the current of irrelevant topics. It's like maintaining balance in the middle of a strong wind. If the topic change continues, directly question the intent. You can ask, "Why are we changing the topic?" This is similar to turning on a light in a dark room, revealing what you are trying to hide. Finally, set clear boundaries in communication. If you feel like the conversation is not productive or is constantly getting sidetracked, it's okay to end the discussion. It's like knowing when it's time to quit a game that isn't played by fair rules. Identifying the change of subject is crucial to maintaining honest and transparent communication. By acknowledging, redirecting, and challenging these changes, you affirm your right to meaningful and respectful conversation. Remember, in the art of conversation, staying the course is as important as knowing how to navigate. Tactic 11. The silencing slights, minimizing and trivializing in manipulation. Have you ever poured your heart out about a situation that deeply bothered you, only to be met with a dismissive, "You're overreacting"? Or maybe you expressed a concern, and it was brushed aside with a nonchalant, "It's not a big deal." These seemingly harmless phrases can be powerful tools in the hands of a manipulator, a tactic known as minimizing and trivializing. Imagine this: you're feeling hurt by a friend's actions. You gather your courage, approach them, and explain how their behavior made you feel. But instead of empathy, you're met with a minimizing response. They might say, "Come on, don't be so sensitive," or "You're taking things way too personally." The effect? You're left feeling confused, questioning your own perception, and ultimately silenced. The danger of minimizing is that it chips away at your self-worth and emotional validity. It creates a situation where your feelings are deemed unimportant, making you doubt your own judgment. This can be particularly damaging in situations where you're already feeling vulnerable. So, how do you defend yourself against this silencing tactic? The key lies in self-validation. Don't outsource the assessment of your emotions to someone else. When someone tries to minimize your feelings, take a deep breath and remember, your emotions are real and deserve to be acknowledged. Think of your emotions as internal alarms, signaling something is wrong. Ignoring them can be dangerous. Instead, listen to your feelings and try to understand why you're feeling the way you do. Perhaps you're feeling hurt, angry, or betrayed. Identify the emotion and express it assertively. You can say, "I understand you don't see it as a big deal, but it really bothers me." Remember, you are the expert on your own experience. Trust yourself and your emotional compass. Don't let someone else dictate how you should feel. If someone consistently minimizes your feelings, it might be a sign of a larger unhealthy dynamic in the relationship. It's important to set boundaries and surround yourself with people who respect and validate your emotional reality. By recognizing minimizing tactics and prioritizing self-validation, you can reclaim your voice and ensure your emotions are heard. Remember, your feelings matter. Don't let anyone silence them. Tactic 12. The crocodile tears, playing the victim in manipulation. Imagine this scenario: you raise a concern about a manipulator's behavior. Perhaps they've been consistently unreliable or disrespectful. But instead of taking responsibility, they launch into a heart-wrenching tale about their own struggles, leaving you feeling like the villain for simply addressing the issue. This, my friends, is the manipulative tactic known as playing the victim. Manipulators excel at turning the tables, painting themselves as the unfortunate target of your supposed negativity. Phrases like, "You're always so critical," or the ever so subtle, "You never think about how I feel," become their weapons, designed to elicit sympathy and guilt. The goal? To deflect attention away from their own actions and make you feel responsible for their emotional well-being. The danger of this tactic lies in its emotional manipulation. It triggers your empathy, making you question your own perspective and potentially even apologizing for raising a valid concern. This not only silences you but also reinforces the manipulator's control. So, how do you defend yourself against these crocodile tears? The crucial step is to detach yourself emotionally from their performance. Remember, you are not responsible for their feelings, only your own. Instead of getting swept away by their emotional narrative, focus on the situation at hand. What was the manipulator's behavior, and how did it impact you? Here's where assertive communication comes in handy. You can say something like, "I understand you're feeling hurt, but the issue here is your behavior of X, which made me feel Y." By calmly refocusing the conversation on the manipulator's actions and their impact on you, you reclaim control of the narrative. It's also important to recognize that genuine remorse and playing the victim are vastly different. True remorse involves taking responsibility for one's actions and offering sincere apologies. A manipulator, on the other hand, will use emotional manipulation to avoid accountability and maintain control. Remember, healthy relationships involve mutual respect and responsibility. Don't allow yourself to be guilt-tripped into accepting blame for someone else's actions. If someone consistently plays the victim card whenever you try to address their behavior, it might be a sign of a larger unhealthy dynamic. Setting boundaries and surrounding yourself with emotionally mature individuals are crucial steps towards protecting yourself from manipulation. By recognizing the tactic, detaching emotionally, and focusing on the manipulator's behavior and its impact on you, you can navigate these situations with confidence. Don't let their crocodile tears cloud your judgment. Remember, a healthy relationship thrives on open communication and mutual accountability. Tactic 13. The sugar rush, love bombing in manipulation. Imagine stepping into a candy store, overwhelmed by a kaleidoscope of colors and a symphony of sweet promises. Every flavor imaginable beckons you, and for a moment, you're swept away in a sugary frenzy. This, my friends, is akin to the initial phase of love bombing, a manipulative tactic where someone showers you with excessive affection and compliments at the beginning of a relationship. Love bombers are experts at creating an illusion of intense connection. They bombard you with compliments, lavish gifts, and seemingly endless displays of affection. It feels intoxicating, like finding your soulmate in a whirlwind romance. But beneath the sugary surface lies a calculated agenda, to gain your trust and affection at an unprecedented pace. The danger of love bombing lies in its deceptive nature. It creates a sense of dependency and emotional attachment before you've had a chance to truly know the person. Blinded by the initial intensity, you might overlook red flags or warning signs. Remember, genuine love takes time to develop, nurtured by shared experiences and mutual respect. So, how do you avoid getting swept away by this emotional sugar rush? Here's the key: healthy skepticism. While it's wonderful to be showered with affection, be wary of relationships that feel overly intense from the start. Take a step back and observe the situation with a clear head. Do their actions match their words? Are they genuinely interested in getting to know the real you, or are they simply mirroring your desires? Here's a good rule of thumb: a healthy relationship progresses at a natural pace. There's room for honest conversation, shared experiences, and the building of trust over time. Don't be afraid to slow things down and prioritize getting to know the person behind the grand gestures. Remember, love bombing is a tactic, not a genuine expression of love. True love involves mutual respect, open communication, and a willingness to invest time and effort into building a solid foundation. Don't get caught up in the initial intensity. Observe, analyze, and trust your gut feeling. If you find yourself in a relationship where love bombing is prevalent, it's crucial to set boundaries. Communicate your need for a slower pace and prioritize getting to know the person for who they truly are. If they're genuinely interested in a healthy connection, they'll respect your boundaries. However, a manipulator might become frustrated or even withdraw their affection once the initial intensity wanes. This is a clear sign of their manipulative agenda. By practicing healthy skepticism, prioritizing genuine connection, and setting boundaries, you can protect yourself from the allure of love bombing and navigate the world of relationships with confidence. Remember, true love is a slow simmer, not a sugary explosion. Choose partners who invest in building a lasting connection, brick by emotional brick. Tactic 14. The invisible leash, creating false debts in manipulation. Imagine this scenario: you're running errands, slightly flustered, when a friend swoops in, offering to help. They pick up some groceries, drive you to an appointment, even lend you a helping hand with a small chore. You're grateful, of course, expressing your thanks profusely. But later, that seemingly helpful act transforms into a subtle reminder: remember that time I helped you out? I could really use a favor now. This, my friend, is the manipulative tactic of creating false debts. Manipulators are masters at weaving obligations out of thin air. They might offer unsolicited help, perform small favors, or even rescue you from a minor inconvenience. These seemingly good deeds come with an invisible string attached, a silent expectation of repayment in the form of future compliance or concessions. The danger of this tactic lies in the subtle manipulation. It taps into our natural sense of reciprocity, the inherent desire to return favors. But in the hands of a manipulator, this reciprocity becomes a tool for control. You might feel obligated to agree to their requests, even if they go against your own best interests, simply because you feel indebted for the help you never truly asked for. So, how do you avoid getting entangled in this invisible leash? The key lies in setting clear boundaries and assertive communication. First, be mindful of situations where help feels unsolicited or comes with unspoken strings attached. If someone offers to do something you were perfectly capable of handling yourself, politely decline and thank them for the offer. Second, if you do accept help, ensure it's without any implied obligation. Express your gratitude genuinely, but make it clear there are no expectations attached. You can say something like, "Thank you so much for your help, I truly appreciate it. But please don't feel like I owe you anything in return." Remember, healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and open communication. Genuine favors are offered freely, without any expectation of repayment. Don't allow someone's unsolicited act of kindness to manipulate you into doing something you're uncomfortable with. If you find yourself in a situation where someone is constantly reminding you of past favors, it's a clear sign of manipulation. Address the situation head-on. Communicate your boundaries and emphasize that true friendship doesn't involve keeping score or using past actions as leverage. By setting clear boundaries, practicing assertive communication, and recognizing the manipulative intent behind unsolicited favors, you can avoid getting caught in the invisible leash of false debts. Remember, healthy relationships are built on trust and respect, not a system of bartering favors. Choose to surround yourself with people who offer genuine support without expecting anything in return. Tactic 15. The insecurity web, playing on your weaknesses in manipulation. Have you ever felt a pang of self-doubt after a seemingly casual comment? Maybe a friend offhandedly criticized your outfit, or a colleague made a snide remark about a project you were passionate about. These seemingly minor jabs can be powerful tools in the hands of a manipulator, a tactic known as playing on your insecurities. Imagine this: you're feeling a little unsure about your public speaking skills before an upcoming presentation. A manipulator might exploit this vulnerability by whispering, "Are you sure you can handle this?" You get so nervous. This calculated comment chips away at your confidence, reinforcing the very insecurity you were already battling. Manipulators are adept at identifying and exploiting your vulnerabilities. They might target your insecurities about your appearance, abilities, social standing, or even your past mistakes. Their goal? To make you feel inadequate, dependent, and ultimately, easier to control. The danger of this tactic lies in its insidious nature. These subtle digs and negative comments erode your self-esteem over time, making you question your own judgment and abilities. You might find yourself constantly seeking their approval or validation, becoming increasingly reliant on their perspective. So, how do you break free from this insecurity web? The key lies in building your self-esteem from the inside out. Don't allow someone else to define your worth. Here's where self-awareness becomes crucial. Take time to identify your strengths and celebrate your accomplishments. Write down a list of things you're good at, your skills, and your positive qualities. When a manipulator tries to exploit an insecurity, remind yourself of this list and your inherent value. You can even counter their negativity with a positive affirmation about yourself. Remember, true confidence comes from within, not from external validation. Surround yourself with supportive people who uplift and encourage you. Don't be afraid to seek professional help if you struggle with chronic self-doubt or negative self-talk. If you find yourself in a relationship where someone constantly criticizes or belittles you, it's a clear sign of manipulation. Address the situation directly. Communicate how their words make you feel and set boundaries. A healthy relationship thrives on mutual respect and encouragement, not on exploiting vulnerabilities. By building self-esteem, recognizing manipulative tactics, and surrounding yourself with positive influences, you can break free from the insecurity web. Remember, your worth is inherent, not a reflection of someone else's negativity. Choose to believe in yourself and your capabilities, and you'll find the strength to navigate any manipulative attempt with confidence. Tactic 16. The cold shoulder, the silent treatment in manipulation. Imagine a world where conversations abruptly cease, replaced by a chilling silence. Texts go unanswered, calls are ignored, and affection vanishes into thin air. This, my friend, is the tactic of the silent treatment, a manipulative tool wielded to control your behavior through emotional withdrawal. Manipulators know the power of connection. They understand that withholding communication and affection can be a potent punishment, leaving you feeling confused, hurt, and desperate to win back their approval. You might find yourself apologizing profusely, even questioning your own actions, just to restore a semblance of normalcy. The danger of the silent treatment lies in its capacity to distort your sense of reality. It creates an environment of emotional uncertainty, where you're constantly questioning what you did wrong and how to appease the manipulator. This emotional roller coaster can be incredibly damaging, chipping away at your self-esteem and fostering a dependence on their approval. So, how do you resist the urge to chase after affection or communication when faced with the silent treatment? The answer lies in setting boundaries and prioritizing your own emotional well-being. Don't allow their manipulative silence to dictate your actions. Here's the crucial step: understand that the silent treatment is not about you, it's about control. Manipulators use silence as a weapon to punish you for not conforming to their desires. By reacting impulsively or desperately seeking their attention, you play into their manipulative game. Instead, focus on maintaining healthy boundaries and communication channels with others. Don't isolate yourself or beg for their attention. Surround yourself with supportive people who value open communication and emotional honesty. Remember, a healthy relationship thrives on mutual respect and clear communication. Silent treatments are not a part of a healthy dynamic. If someone consistently uses silence to manipulate you, it's a clear sign of an unhealthy pattern. Here's an empowered response: address the situation calmly when communication resumes. Let them know their silent treatment is unacceptable and that you won't tolerate such manipulative behavior. Building healthy communication habits and prioritizing your emotional well-being are crucial steps in breaking free from the manipulative cycle of the silent treatment. Remember, you deserve open communication and respect in your relationships. Don't allow someone's silence to control your voice or your happiness. Tactic 17. The smoke and mirrors, false promises and empty threats in manipulation. Have you ever been lured into a decision with the promise of a glittering reward, only to be left empty-handed? Or perhaps you were threatened with dire consequences if you didn't comply with someone's wishes. These tactics, my friend, are the manipulative tools of false promises and empty threats, designed to control you through illusion and fear. Imagine this: a manipulator dangled the carrot of a promotion in front of you, whispering sweet nothings about your potential if you simply agreed to take on an unreasonable workload. Or maybe they threatened to withdraw their affection or support if you dared to disagree with them. These are calculated ploys to cloud your judgment and coerce you into compliance. The danger of this tactic lies in its deceptive nature. It preys on your hopes and anxieties, creating a scenario where you feel pressured to make choices based on fear or the promise of an uncertain future. Empty promises leave you feeling disillusioned and distrustful, while constant threats create an atmosphere of anxiety and control. So, how do you avoid getting caught in this manipulative smoke and mirrors act? The key lies in critical thinking and trusting actions over words. Don't be swayed by grand promises or intimidated by empty threats. Take a step back and analyze the situation objectively. Ask yourself, does this promise seem realistic? Has this person followed through on their promises in the past? Are the threatened consequences truly believable? By critically evaluating the situation, you can often see through the manipulator's facade. Remember, genuine promises are backed by action. Trust people who demonstrate their commitment through their behavior, not just their words. If someone consistently uses empty promises or threats to get what they want, it's a clear sign of manipulation. Here's an empowered response: communicate your boundaries. Let them know you won't be manipulated by their tactics. You can say something like, "I appreciate the offer, but I need to make decisions based on reality, not empty promises." Building your self-confidence and trusting your own judgment are crucial steps in dismantling the manipulative power of false promises and empty threats. Remember, you deserve to make choices based on clear information and a sense of security, not fear or fabricated rewards. Don't allow someone to control your decisions through a manipulative smoke and mirrors act. Tactic 18. The incremental squeeze, the foot in the door technique in manipulation. Imagine yourself at the door, a friendly face offering a small cookie. You politely accept, enjoying the sweet treat. But then, a hand reaches out again, this time holding a whole plate overflowing with cookies. Suddenly, refusing feels a little rude, doesn't it? This, my friend, is the essence of the foot in the door technique, a manipulative tactic that leverages our natural tendency to reciprocate and appear consistent to gradually escalate requests. Manipulators are masters of this incremental squeeze. They start small, with seemingly insignificant requests you're likely to agree to. It could be anything from a quick favor to a shoulder to cry on. These initial agreements establish a sense of obligation, making it harder to say no to larger requests later on. The danger of this tactic lies in its subtlety. You might initially agree to the small request without even realizing you're being manipulated. But as the requests become progressively bigger, you find yourself feeling trapped in a web of your own agreements. Saying no feels like a betrayal of the initial trust you established. So, how do you avoid getting caught in this manipulative squeeze? The key lies in assertive communication and setting clear boundaries from the beginning. Just because you agreed to help with a small task doesn't mean you're obligated to fulfill every subsequent request. Here's the crucial step: be mindful of the potential for escalation when considering any request, even a small one. If you have a genuine desire to help, go for it. But if you sense a manipulative intent, politely decline and explain your limitations. You can say something like, "I'm happy to help with X, but I won't be able to do Y." Remember, true cooperation thrives on open communication and mutual respect. Don't feel pressured to agree to something you're uncomfortable with simply because you don't want to seem inconsistent. It's perfectly okay to say no, and a healthy relationship will respect your boundaries. If you find yourself constantly pressured to fulfill increasingly demanding requests, it's a clear sign of manipulation. Address the situation directly. Communicate your discomfort with their tactics and emphasize your right to say no. By practicing assertive communication, setting clear boundaries, and being mindful of the potential for escalation, you can avoid the manipulative squeeze of the foot in the door technique. Remember, your willingness to help should be genuine, not a result of subtle manipulation. Choose to build relationships based on open communication and respect for each other's boundaries. Tactic 19. The sting of the "just kidding" excuse. Imagine this: you're laughing along with friends when a joke lands a little too close to home. A barb disguised as humor pricks your insecurities, leaving you feeling hurt and confused. But as you try to voice your discomfort, you're met with a nonchalant, "Ah, come on, I was just kidding." This, my friend, is the manipulative tactic of the "just kidding" excuse. Manipulators exploit the ambiguity of humor to deflect accountability for their hurtful words. They cloak offensive statements in laughter, hoping you'll dismiss them as harmless teasing. But the sting of those words lingers, leaving you questioning your own perception and potentially minimizing the impact of their actions. The danger of this tactic lies in its ability to erode boundaries. It creates a situation where humor becomes a weapon, wielded to belittle, insult, or undermine you. Over time, you might find yourself tolerating hurtful behavior simply because it's disguised as a joke. Remember, true humor should uplift and connect, not isolate and demean. So, how do you defend yourself against the sting of the "just kidding" excuse? The key lies in assertive communication and setting clear boundaries. Don't allow someone to dismiss your feelings simply because they claim it was a joke. Here's the crucial step: when a joke lands awkwardly, address it directly. You can say something like, "Hey, that joke actually hurt my feelings. Can we avoid that kind of humor in the future?" It's important to be clear and concise in your communication. Remember, healthy humor thrives on mutual respect and understanding. True friends will be mindful of your boundaries and avoid jokes that cause discomfort. If someone consistently uses humor to belittle or hurt you, it's a sign of a potentially toxic relationship. Here's an empowered response: if your initial communication is dismissed with a dismissive, "just kidding," consider the situation. Was it a genuine mistake, or is there a pattern of manipulative humor? If it's a pattern, you might need to distance yourself from that person or the situation. By setting clear boundaries, prioritizing open communication, and refusing to tolerate hurtful humor, you can protect yourself from the manipulative "just kidding" excuse. Remember, humor should bring people together, not tear them apart. Choose relationships where laughter is a shared joy, not a weapon disguised as a joke. Tactic 20. The herd mentality excuse: everyone does it. Imagine you raise a concern about a manipulator's behavior. Perhaps they consistently break promises or belittle you in front of others. But instead of taking responsibility, they shrug and utter the age-old excuse, "everyone does it." This, my friend, is a tactic designed to deflect blame and normalize their manipulative actions. Manipulators love to cloak themselves in the invisibility cloak of anonymity. They point fingers at a mythical "everyone" who supposedly engages in the same manipulative behaviors. The goal? To downplay the severity of their actions and make you feel like you're overreacting. The danger of this tactic lies in its appeal to conformity. It triggers an evolutionary instinct, the desire to fit in with the crowd. You might question your own perspective, wondering if you're truly being too sensitive. But remember, two wrongs don't make a right. Just because everyone does it doesn't make it okay. So, how do you resist the manipulative pull of the herd mentality excuse? The key lies in trusting your own judgment and focusing on building healthy relationships. Don't allow someone to dictate your perception of what's acceptable behavior. Here's the crucial step: refocus the conversation on the manipulator's actions and their impact on you. You can say something like, "Whether or not everyone does it, it's hurtful when you behave this way. How can we move forward?" This shifts the focus away from justification and towards finding a solution. Remember, healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and open communication. True friends don't resort to manipulation or try to normalize hurtful behavior. If someone consistently uses "everyone does it" to excuse their actions, it's a sign of an unhealthy dynamic. Here's an empowered response: if they persist with the excuse, consider the situation. Are they genuinely unaware of the impact, or is it a manipulative attempt to avoid accountability? You might need to communicate your boundaries more clearly or even distance yourself from the situation. By prioritizing your well-being, trusting your judgment, and rejecting the manipulative "everyone does it" excuse, you can navigate relationships with confidence. Remember, healthy interactions involve open communication and respect, not a race to the bottom of manipulative behavior. Choose to surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, not those who drag you down with justifications that lack merit. Tactic 21. The wolf in sheep's clothing, dividing and conquering in manipulation. Imagine a seemingly harmonious social circle. Suddenly, whispers and rumors start to ripple through the group, creating friction between friends. A manipulator, lurking beneath the surface, might be the puppeteer behind this discord. Divide and conquer is a cunning tactic that weakens individuals by creating rifts within a group, making them easier to control and manipulate. Here's how it plays out: the manipulator identifies cracks in the social foundation, pre-existing disagreements or personality clashes. They then exploit these vulnerabilities, subtly fueling tensions through gossip, sarcasm, or pitting friends against each other with sly comparisons. The goal? To fracture the group's unity and turn them against one another. The danger of this tactic lies in its invisibility. Unlike a direct attack, it chips away at trust and solidarity from within. Friends become suspicious, communication breaks down, and the manipulator thrives in the chaos they've created. Isolated and unsure of whom to trust, individuals become more susceptible to the manipulator's influence. So, how do you outsmart this wolf in sheep's clothing? The key lies in fostering open communication and maintaining a united front. Don't allow whispers to fester into misunderstandings. If you hear rumors or sense tension brewing, address it directly with the people involved. Encourage open communication and honest conversations to clear the air. Here's the crucial step: when divisive tactics become apparent, confront them head-on, but do so together. Talk to your friends, express your concerns, and collectively shut down any attempts to sow discord. A united front demonstrates strength and discourages the manipulator from exploiting vulnerabilities. Remember, healthy relationships are built on trust and transparency. True friends value open communication and work together to resolve conflicts. If someone consistently tries to create divisions within the group, it's a clear sign of manipulation. Don't be afraid to call them out on their behavior. Here's an empowered response: if you identify the manipulator, address their actions directly. You can say something like, "I see what you're trying to do here, and it's not going to work. We value our friendships and won't be manipulated." By fostering open communication, maintaining a united front, and recognizing the signs of divisive tactics, you can dismantle the manipulator's divide and conquer strategy. Remember, a strong social circle is a shield against manipulation. Choose to surround yourself with people who value honesty and collaboration, and together, you can navigate any attempt to divide and conquer. If this video has given you something new, if it has made you think or feel differently, help us to continue growing by subscribing, leaving your like and activating the bell. This helps us to continue growing and be able to generate more quality content for well-being of everyone. In this journey through the 10 ways to recognize and confront manipulation, we have explored a range of tactics used by those who seek to influence our decisions, emotions, and perceptions in unethical ways. From emotional manipulation to changing the subject, each strategy reveals how manipulators operate and how we can fight back to maintain our autonomy and integrity. It is important to remember that awareness is our most powerful shield. By knowing these tactics, we are better equipped to identify and counter manipulation attempts in our daily lives. It's like having a map in a complicated territory, guides us toward safety. Manipulation can occur in different forms and in various areas of our lives, whether in personal relationships, in the work environment, or even in the public sphere. However, with the right knowledge and skills, we can stand strong in the face of these challenges, protecting our minds and emotions from unwanted influences. Now I would love to hear from you. Which of these 21 tactics to recognize manipulation resonated with you the most? Have you experienced any of these tactics in your lives? How have you dealt with it and what strategies have you found most effective? You are invited to share your experiences and reflections in the comments. They are not only valuable to me, but also to other readers who may be looking for guidance and support. Together, we can create a community of learning and support, where we share knowledge and experiences to confront manipulation effectively. Click on the following video that we have selected especially for you. You will find more tips, strategies, and reflections that will help you to apply Stoic principles in your daily life. See you there, dear Stoic.